what? Say what?
For the fellowship.
This is Vinyl Voices Radio. ESPN 97.5.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I'm John Goodman.
Dusty Sandehan.
All right, this is Vinyl Voices Radio here on ESPN, and I want to welcome everybody to this week's show. I said, Justice Sandehan, I'm John Goodman, and we have a very special guest this week, and we're actually on location. Packed up everything from Jason's garage, and we moved it to Rockefeller's.
Rockefeller's. Classic venue in Houston, historic, and lots of great players who played here over the years. Stevie Ray, I was telling Daniel, saw Ray Charles in here tonight, but tonight, very honored to have Daniel Donato here, our guest for this week's show.
We are on location for sure.
Sound check is happening as we speak.
Yeah, and so the whole thing that's going on here is Cosmic Country is doing a co-headline tour with Eggy, and they're friends of ours. And so we're doing a 90-minute show, and they're doing a 90-minute show. But our bands usually do 2 sets a night, 3-hour-long shows. And we're kind of combining forces and bringing it to places that both of us don't really tour much, you know, because the sum of the whole is greater than the parts.
Yes.
Right.
So, but also the sum of the whole is louder in this interview than usual. So,
It's a cool tour because both of y'all have like this rising trajectory. I mean, both acts are just gaining a lot of momentum in the music industry. So, what's it been like so far? I mean, the crowd's been pretty good. Like a lot of, following. Is it more Eggy? Is it more Cosmic Country, or have you been able to gauge the crowds?
the dichotomy's been really truthful and loving, really. You know, our scene it emerges with the music industry in more informal ways than not, and it's all love with our demographic and our communities. So they love both bands, and I really haven't been able to quantify it too much. I really don't know, and you know, and the rise has been. It feels pretty steady to me. It feels like a low interest APY.
Right.
On like a savings account or something. It doesn't. Because I've just been
Nice and steady.
It's like Warren Buffett, right?
Yeah.
I've been doing this since I was 14, you know.
Yeah.
And so all the adjectives of, you know, all these astral-sounding, meteoric, explosive ideas. I think it's cool and all, and I hope that stays in the narrative of what goes on in our universe, respectively to Cosmic Country. But for me personally, when I go to sleep at night, I felt like I just did the same amount of reps that I've been doing every day since I was 14.
Sure.
And I feel really grateful for that because none of it's overwhelming for me. I've just been doing it for so long, and I've wanted it so bad, and I've done it so honestly my whole life, for over half my life now, rather. And you know, so you know, I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah. And then on tour, it's always more fun to do it with friends, right?
Boy, is it,
It's
man.
like everything.
Yeah, and sometimes it's harder. You know, my band and I, we fight like brothers. You know, just last night, we were all yelling at each other in the green room before the show.
I mean, if you're not doing that, then, you know, you don't really like each other, right?
Well, I think it informs the sound.
Yes.
I do. I used to play in people's bands where the band would have a bus and then the artist would have their own bus, and somehow the band isn't an artist, and I don't know how that works, but, you know, and then there was never really any emotional vulnerability. And the thing that happens with that is it never actually allows it to, the music to turn into something that is dramatic and fulfilling like a Disney movie would be. Because the vulnerability isn't there amongst the personalities and the soul.
Oh, man, that's Christmas time, Hallmark Channel.
There you go.
You gotta have that.
Yeah.
that going on.
My mom and I used to watch Hallmark Channel movies and eat cups of ramen. That was great. I was a little boy. I remember that. Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about some songs.
Okay.
And the
We're
first,
gonna digress from ramen to songs.
just
I like that.
well, we can roll right in with a little ramen into the song.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they're all intertwined.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of noodles. Dance in the Desert.
Don't even sweat it, soon you'll forget it. You gotta know I'm living, it's time to let it go with the motion. Slow the emotion, flows like an ocean within your heart. It's hard to be apart, day turns to dark. This could be the start of something new. Dance in the desert, forget the weather. Ain't nothing better than being you. Used to think you never lose yourself forever. Ain't nothing better than dance in the desert away. We're dancing away. You're finding something that you forgot you had inside you. Thought your life was behind you. The time has come to go with the motion. Slow the emotion flows like an ocean within your heart. It's hard to play the part. Just meet me in the dark. This could be the start of something new. Dance in the desert, forget the weather. Ain't nothing better than being you. Used to think you never lose yourself forever. Ain't nothing better than dance in the desert away. We're dancing away. Dance in the desert. We're dancing away. Dance in the desert, forget the weather. Ain't nothing better than used to think you never lose yourself forever. Ain't nothing better than dance in the desert away. We're dancing away. Dance in the desert. We're dancing away. Dance in the desert. We're dancing away. You're finding something that you forgot you had inside you.
So that song, whenever I was listening to it, I mean, it definitely has a little disco beat to it, and it makes you want to get up and dance. And when you know, it's named Dance in the Desert, so I can just picture this whole scene going on with it, and you know, everybody dancing in the desert, having a really good time. Festival vibe going on.
Yeah.
Clothing optional. You know, the whole just good times rolling.
Especially for you.
Yeah, always, always.
Daniel pegged you just on our first meeting.
No.
He knows who you are.
Well, apparently, I look like a friend of his from back there. So,
You look like our producer Vance Powell just a little.
gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dance in the Desert. Just a jamming little song you made there.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really a big fan of the 80s Waylon sound. And Waylon, being in Buddy Holly's band, really learned how to make songs in a popular form really danceable and bring that to country. And you know, Merle wasn't doing that really, and really Jerry Reed was kind of the king of that. You know, and so Waylon comes in and he knows how to deliver a song that has just as much three-chordal truth as country needs to have, but it also makes you dance and it makes you groove, and you can extend it and make it do all kinds of things. And when Dance in the Desert started unveiling itself, that was one of the initial seeds that were sowed into that song. And I was really into the tale of the three wise men at that time. And the desert, kind of classically, is it's an archetype. It's an unexplored place of chaos where mirages of evil can happen, like Cool Water, if you listen to the Marty Robbins song, or Sons of the Pioneers, you know, keep a moving, Dan, don't you listen to him, Dan, he's a devil, not a man, and he spreads the burning sand with water. It's like there's this weird room for the transcendent to come in when you place something in the scene of a desert. And I love that, man. Yeah.
I love that.
Here's a fun fact for Dance in the Desert: is it took about 3 years to actually get it right.
Wow.
It took a long time.
Yeah.
Not all songs do. That
Right.
took a while.
What was kind of the slowdown on that one, or what was the where you weren't seeing eye to eye on some of the things, or?
I don't know if it was a slowdown. I think it just was what it was.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just hard to get it to cover all the bandwidth of the emotional spectrum that I knew it could cover. Musically, it took a long time. The lyrics had to be there, and the form had to be there, and the dynamics had to be there, and where it goes left and where it goes right had to take time to come into fruition. And
Yeah, we talked for Houston Press interview, and I told you that was a song that kind of hooked me because I'm a lyrics guy. Like, a lot of times we do this stuff, and John's like the vibe guy, the music. I'm listening for lyrics because I'm a word person. And I told you when we talked that morning I was having a rough morning, and listening to that song just does what music does. It just brought me back centered, and just I was like, oh, everything's gonna be fine, you know. And
Right on.
I just love the lyric, the positivity in that lyric. There's nothing better than being you type, you know. I mean, and I needed that morning, and so, but I just love that. And maybe if it took that time for those lyrics to come across, then I'm glad you took your time with it.
thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that, Jesse.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And is that how it pretty much goes? Like, you know, I'm just going to let this thing, you know, there's a whole idea of cosmic, you know, attached to you. You just really let the universe bring it to you.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. You call it the universe. And, it's just about having faith in the time that it takes for whatever it is you're creating to unveil. Everyone's a creative being, you know. We live in a creation. There is a start to all of this.
Right.
You know, so the whole framework of our reality is that of a creation, and if we live within that framework, then we are creations as well, and creatives. And there's an innate faith that I think is required to pursue creativity with all you got. You know, so, man, the lyrics on that one really, when my friend Chandler Brown and I were writing it, that was a very moving moment for us. We wrote it during, right when the lockdown started, and it was a miserable time.
Right.
You know, it was miserable for us. And we just kind of conjured up the faith that travelers in the desert might have, you know, to find the North Star and to keep going.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
a song about faith.
Love
you know?
that.
And
Love
a lot of people don't like that word, and a lot of people don't know. I don't even know if we really fully understand what that word means. You know, but I'm glad it affects you. I love that song. You know.
Yeah, there it is. A cup of coffee and some Daniel Donato in the morning. Get your mind right.
Right. Yeah, why not?
All right, let's take a break, and when we get back, we'll talk more with Daniel Donato. This is Vinyl Voices Radio here on ESPN. Be right back.
She only smiles.
Key T Wellness, our friends down in Dickinson, is where you need to go if you're feeling sluggish, non-energetic, and non-motivated. not just when you're hungover. Get to know your numbers. As we get a little older, our hormone levels change, men and women. Key T Wellness can help. Weight loss, hormone optimization, low testosterone, B12, Botox, and more. KeyTWellness.com. Why not feel your best again? KeyTWellness.com.
Welcome to Vinyl Voices with your hosts, John Denman and Jesse Sendejas. Grab a drink and get ready to dive into some badass music. Take it away, boys.
All right, we're back for some more with Daniel Donato, hanging out here at Rockefellers. Jesse Sendejas, John Denman, Daniel Donato. So now let's talk about another song.
Yeah, so the next one we're going to talk about is Lose Your Mind. All of these songs that we're going to talk about tonight are off of Daniel's new album, Reflector, just came out in November.
Desperate to awake, confidence is shaking. It all seems so frightening. Gets to be enlightening. No, you're not mistaken. Given all that's taken, birds in flight wanna sing. Bells and chimes gonna ring. It's a long, long stretch of time to an everlasting smile. The first steps down the line begin the trial. So lose your mind in the song and find yourself in all that's wrong. It's a long, gone stretch of time to lose your mind. Daybreak killed the dream. With it came a glowing gleam. Visions of golden green. Worlds bursting at their seams. Plans held so dear. All in time disappear into a long, long ride. Lights flashing, passing by. It's a long, gone stretch of time to an everlasting smile. The first steps down the line begin the trial. So lose your mind in the song. You find yourself in all that's wrong. It's a long, gone stretch of time to lose your mind. It's a long gone stretch of time to an everlasting smile. The first steps down the line begins a trial. So lose your mind in the song. You find yourself in all that's wrong. It's a long gone stretch of time to lose your mind.
Yeah, talk a little bit about Lose Your Mind.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in that song, you know. Like what it's about, or like maybe
I don't know.
more of
So-
a prompt would help me.
Well, I listened to it, And I quickly thought, man, I want to write a movie montage of this.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It kind of has that little vibe to it where it's like, all right, guys, it's time to build this house for those kids. And then the song plays, and before the song's over, we built a house for the kids.
Oh, great.
You know, something along those lines. We got to get these presents to the orphans, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it's like that song like fits in there for like a perfect montage. If I ever write a movie,
Oh, good.
stick it in.
Well, I'll be your Harrison Ford.
Perfect.
Or your Gene Wilder. More likely that than not. Yeah.
Both of them great actors.
Great actor.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Frisco Kid's good. You know, that song, have you heard of the Collective Conscious?
Yes.
I think we live in a time now where there's a couple viruses that seem to be in that collective conscious, you know, and that song is maybe just an excuse for somebody to try to lose some of those knots
Okay.
and let go of those things and just be your own person,
Yeah.
which is what this whole country was founded on.
Right.
And you know, and that's not an innate freedom that's everywhere else in the world.
Right.
And especially as you get into the time of when you get into people that are born within the 90s and onward to more present day, we're so used to that freedom that we take it as granted, and it's just not the case. And you have to stand up for that value, and you have to walk with that value and live with it and speak from that place. And you know, find yourself in all that's wrong. Find yourself in there. Don't find what group you have to fit into.
Right.
You know, 'cause that sucks.
Right. Right.
It's not fun.
Well, unfortunately, that's kind of the direction that we've gone over
Yeah.
the last like decade. now.
Everybody's trying to put the lamp under the bushel, and that is not the way.
Right.
You know, especially for me, I've never been able to do that. I always perform at a lower frequency when I have to put the light under the bushel.
Right.
You know, I have to keep it up, and that's kind of what that song's about.
Yeah.
You know.
I love that explanation. And the thing about you, and I, mentioned that I'd listened to a lot of the podcasts that you did
Thanks.
during that time, and it's just so fun to listen to you talk because you're obviously like a student. Like the first song we're talking, you're a student of music. You're talking about Marty and Waylon, and these folks that came ahead of you, but inform what you do in some way. And now we're talking about something totally different, being a student of just, I guess society, you could say, or, just what you've seen around you in the country. And, I just like to listen to you talk, man.
Thanks, man. I love talking to you. Yeah, I mean, being out here on the road is, at least for me, very humbling. For everything I learned, it's safe to say that there's like at least three things that everything I know, there's at least three things that I don't know.
Everything's a learning opportunity too.
The whole technique of experience is educational.
Yeah. Well, this is like our first remote show for this particular
Is it
show.
really? I'm
so
honored.
We're learning on the fly tonight, and we're glad.
Speaking of learning,
Yeah. But we're happy that we're doing it with you because you're just laid back, interesting. Everything I'm just hanging on your words.
Man,
So
thank you. That's a real honor.
yeah.
So with the song, because you're very well known for your guitar playing skills, and just watching you just when you were getting the band ready and everything, it was just so fluid. You're just like, now you're just in another world, just sitting there, just making things happen. And so whenever you do sit down and write a song, is it more, you already play the music and it's in your head, and then you got to write some lyrics to it, or
Sometimes.
you wake up some days you're like, this is where it starts.
It's kind of different every time, honestly, John. It's not easier than it's not like playing guitar where I have a pattern familiarity, and every time I write a song, it feels like I'm writing for the first time, which very hard. Lose Your Mind came really fast though. I wrote that one day, and it pretty much has stayed. Aside from how we play it live, pretty much 80% of it's been there since it first unveiled itself. You know? Yeah. That was just such a true, righteous headspace that I felt myself in that day. That I was able to pen to paper it, and it just felt like truth in the sand, really. And you know, that's the great thing about songs is they don't have to go away. You know, the moment does, and the feeling that you might have when you're writing it kind of flees into the hallways of eternity. But you have an artifact that you can bring to people, and you know, they bring their experience to it, and it makes that song more real. You know, and it's great.
And it's also just a perspective that they take of your lyrics too, because you might say it this way, and this is like, oh, this is where my head was, and they might hear it somewhere else, but it affects them differently because
if they're truthful. You know, the truth is it's just like the sun, you know, everybody's looking at the same thing from a different angle. Oh, it's that far away. No, it's that far away. It's made out of 20% of this. No, it's made out of 50% of this. You know, everybody has an idea about it. But at the end of the day, the lowest common denominator is that all of these students of life are looking at the truth at their angle.
Right.
And that's a beautiful thing.
It is.
And that's all I ever try to reach with my lyrics is truth, beauty, and goodness out of them. I'm certainly not trying to write lyrics that will get me more money because there's an ad placement for Anheuser-Busch in there, you know, which I love songs like that. You know, but for me, there's no emotional reality in it, when I write it. That's all I'm ever trying to do is just be truthful with it, you know.
Right.
Because when you have truth, you have forever.
Yeah, you should.
You should.
You should.
Even if you don't in physical form, your spirit lives on. You know, when Willie Nelson goes, everyone's gonna still be listening to Crazy.
Right.
Forever.
Right.
Or for a long time.
Right.
You know. So it seems like if you can physically serve truth, you get to live on in spirit. The truth. So
I mean, it's what y'all are talking about is art. That's how we look at a painting, and we're gonna look at it from different angles. We all see some truth in it, but it's lasting because it's art.
Exactly.
The music is art, and there's different levels of it. Some are comic strips that we enjoy for the moment, but some are lasting. I feel like that's what your stuff is. You know, it's high-minded. You know.
Let's go ahead and take another quick break. Just getting pretty loud in here, and this is Final Voices Radio. We'll be right back. GT Wellness, our friends down in Dickinson, is where you need to go if you're feeling sluggish, non-energetic, and non-motivated, not just when you're hungover. Get to know your numbers. As we get a little older, our hormone levels change, men and women. GT Wellness can help. Weight loss, hormone optimization, low testosterone, B12, Botox, and more. KeyTWellness.com. Why not feel your best again? KeyTWellness.com. Final Voices is back on here on ESPN. Justin Deas, I'm John Denman. He is Daniel Donato. And we have moved from the upstairs to now we're in the green room where all the relaxation stuff happens before the show.
That's where it should happen.
So.
But you know, a lot of the times it doesn't. You know, everyone's running around.
Just a few feet behind us through the old bank vault where we are now at Rockefeller's. Eggy's on stage, so that's what you're hearing as well.
If you can hear it, sounds good, right?
It's part of the show. It's gonna be like, yeah, they put the little bumper music under.
Right.
This gonna be a natural.
It's great.
Natural bumper music.
Yeah.
All right, so the next song we're gonna talk about is High Country.
I got my wheels in motion with that same old notion. What will be if I end this ride out of darkness into light?
this is a song that I personally felt like I had to kind of really listen to a few times, because it is kind of that song about, get out of the city a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like a city kid, so
Yeah.
But I'm digging it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think High Country is kind of a love letter to wanting to get to just a higher place in your life, and country music has this bandwidth to where you can kind of make up a story that is real in terms of values, but it might not have actually literally physically happened. And so I wanted to kind of create a character who was in a city and wanted to leave and get out of there,
Yeah.
And that's where that one really started taking shape for me.
Yeah.
We just finished like 2 or 3 days worth of driving, and we got to an Airbnb from Tennessee all the way to Colorado, and we arrived in Colorado, and there is this sign pulling into the Airbnb. It was like High Country Lane. Something. And then Will Mustang, he took out his upright because it was like 12 degrees outside. He didn't want to leave it in the van. He
Right.
schlepped it all up 3 sets of stairs, and he takes the bass out and he starts playing. Do-ba-da-ba-da-da-da-da-da, do-ba-da-ba-da-da-da-da. I took my phone recorder.
Yeah.
And then off to the races from there.
Right. That's so cool. Like, we've talked about 3 songs and they totally all came together in such different ways.
Developed differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be a witness as much as you're a producer.
Right.
Yeah. At least I do.
Yeah. In that moment, though, there was something that just got you. It was like, okay, I understand it was the riff, but it was still something like, I'm sure you're around musicians, you're a musician, people are riffing all the time.
All the time.
But there's something about that moment that was just like, I get this.
Yeah, that's the non-linear part of it all. And then there's this great running truth, it seems to be, about Neil Young, where it's like, if anything strikes him as fodder, he archives it right then and there. It could be at dinner, he'll tell somebody to stop and talk it and write it down, or hear something recorded. And I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Everyone's riffing at all the time. Birds could be riffing.
Right.
All the time, man.
Traffic.
Yeah.
Traffic.
Yeah.
Buc-ee's.
Yep. I probably should write things down, because I'll come up with great ideas, and I'm like, man, or even song lyrics, right? And it's like, that is the beginning of a good song.
Yes.
And then 3 days later, I'm like, what was that?
Tom T. Hall, in his book on songwriting, he said, relate, don't create. And that might be too much of a, it's cool to create weird scenes and, Tolkien-esque worlds that never happened but could have. But, just relating and writing things down that happen all the time, Sometimes I'm so inspired by watching I'm drinking an espresso in the morning before we leave for the next gig, and I'm watching a mom and a daughter walk in a park. And it's like, it's so moving. And I'll start hearing something, and then, I write it down.
Yeah.
Because it's all music.
Yeah. It's all frequencies, right?
Boy, oh boy. That sounds very abstract and woo-hoo, but and even to the people that are like, all right, you hippies, it's like, I would push back and be like, even intellectually, on a scientific level, it's measurably that. So you can't ignore that.
Right.
You can, but you're not really doing yourself much good.
Mm-hmm.
It's all frequency, and it's all proof of change, and it's all proof of life.
Yeah.
And it's a living thing. And so,
I love that. I love that your art comes from that place, and I love that that's a message of, what we're kind of talking about tonight, because we should all be aware of that in our daily lives. No, it doesn't matter if you're a musician or an accountant or a lawyer or whatever you do. if you can really just be in the moment.
Yeah.
It's such a hard thing sometimes.
Boy, is it hard.
I get in a lot of trouble for it. Yeah, living in the moment.
You just get in a lot of trouble, period. But
I like the relationship you guys have going on. This is good.
yeah,
This is a funny one. I like it. It's good.
we've known each other for a minute.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do get in trouble. The truth may start a fight. You know, it historically has.
That's right.
That's the price
right.
of it.
That's right. Well, yeah, we were talking about that a little bit in our phone discussion. That sometimes it's not pretty, but
No.
yeah, but it is what it is. So,
That's right.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
right. Yeah.
yeah. But I really just dig that idea of just being just present. Just having that sense that you have about you, that is something that you're sharing with your audience, and now we're sharing too. Is just take some time to really just not think about what's coming next. Just take your day and put some Daniel Donato on and just really, soak into it. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate how generous you guys have been in supporting my music.
What's the longest song that you've written?
Time-wise? There's like 2 or 3 songs that are going to be on the next album that are pretty long, in composition and lyrically.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings, though, is 3 movies.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, there's just some people that need more than 3 to 4 minutes to really get their head right?
Yeah, that's
so
the
that's
thing.
why you can do a 10, 15-minute song, and that's for those people.
It's also why we put out every show we do on the road online. Every single show within the week. Lately, it's been within 48 hours. Every show is online in really high frequency quality audio for people to go listen to and go back to or discover.
Right.
Because I'm a subscriber to the hypothesis that people's attention spans are not short, but their consideration span is very short.
Right.
And rightfully so. Because
Right.
everybody in every corporation, every entity, every brand, anyone with anything is trying to get your attention, your money,
Right.
or your time,
Right.
or your data.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to take something from you now.
Right.
And, maybe give some things in return, but everybody's asking.
Right.
And so our consideration span is tremendously short, I think. But our attention span is remarkably long. Remarkably, people listen to 4-hour podcasts every day. All
Right.
day,
That's true.
That's a lot of time. People come to our shows for 3 hours, and then they get mad if we don't do an encore. I think if you're worth considering to a certain person, then they will attend to you.
Sure.
So we just try to set up as many opportunities for people to consider us cosmically as they can.
Nice.
It's hard.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's that's the thing, that it's always looked at like, oh man, they're living the dream.
You are. Think about what I've noticed about a reality is there's this yin and yang. We know what that is, right? There's this little principle called as above, so below.
Right.
Right. It's like an iceberg. There's part of it on top that you see, and there's a lot of it underneath that you don't see.
Right.
Right. Everything has a light and a dark to it. So that means it's real.
Yeah.
If there's a shadow to what it is that you're observing, that makes it a real thing. And dreams have that, and the lines between dreams and reality are very, very finely nuanced.
Right.
So if you are living the dream, good things and quote unquote bad things are happening.
Right.
And
Right.
that's what's great about
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being able to acknowledge that is very mature.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. But again, you're just a student of music, the world, what you're doing.
You just did that on time, Jesse. Come on, that was music. That was great.
I'm
this is a musical show.
timing is everything.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's great.
Well, as much fun as it's been, we do have to wrap it up because we're only allowed so much time. But Daniel Donato, thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
It's been a whole lot of fun hanging out with you.
And thank you, Jesse.
Daniel.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can find him online. Go watch any of his shows.
Yeah.
Like this show tonight that we're watching, it will be posted by the time this airs.
Oh, for sure. And probably a couple others now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Check them out.
For lucky. Yeah.
Find them online.
Thank you.
Daniel Donato and the Cosmic Cowboys. Cosmic Country.
Hey, both.
Oh, man. I've only like barely made it through one beer.
You need
And I'm
both.
already doing it.
You need both, man.
You should. At least once a show, I get the
What's-
name of my own show wrong.
Oh yeah.
And what's a country without a cowboy?
It's not a country.
Now that's what we end on right there. That's great.
All right, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this week's show. You can listen to any of the old ones, find us all over the internet, dark webs, and the rest of the funky places online. And Justin Dejas, John Dimon, Jason Esparza, and DJ Muskrat. Talk to everyone next week.